Hey there, how are you today? My name is Dana Damara. You've landed on Astrocast. So I wanted to record just a simple little recording about Venus in retrograde. And I know that as I'm recording this, it's been in retrograde for a week, but I think it's really important to just understand a little bit about Venus retrograde. So I want to give you some dates, and I have them written down, and why it's important. Okay, so first of all, Venus stations retrograde about every 18 months, and Venus retrograde is really we tend to, during the year when Mercury retrogrades, we're like, oh my God, Mercury's in retrograde, but really it just happens all the time, and sometimes it's intense, sometimes it's not. But when Venus retrogrades, everyone feels it, everyone, no matter where you are, and whether you know it or not. And it's a 40-day journey. So I'm going to give you the dates. Okay, Venus stations retrograde. First of all, it went into its pre-shadow stage on June 19th. Okay, so just keep that in mind, June 19th. That's kind of when Venus starts to move toward its retrograde stage. And then Venus completely stationed retrograde on July 22nd, 6:33 p.m. And that was right before the sun moved into Leo, which was pretty awesome. And then it will station direct on September 3rd at 6:30 p.m. And then it'll finally move out of its post-shadow period on October 7th. So from really technically from like June 19th to October 7th, we are working with emotional energy. We are working with the heart. We are working with whatever needs to be healed in the heart. We're working with relationships, we're working with growth, we're working with things that have been stuck in the heart. And I'm going to pull up the full moon picture, just because I want you to see. I want you to see where Venus is. So here's Venus in Leo. Okay, so now depending upon where this lands and smashes up against your chart is going to dictate what the theme of this Venus in retrograde is, right? But overall, generally speaking, it brings an opportunity for us to understand emotional heartbreak on a deeper level. And Venus only retrogrades, 5 times over an 8-year period, right? And so during the time when it's retrograding, it doesn't happen very often. It is a time for you to pay attention to the themes that are happening in your life. Okay, so for example, Venus retrogrades only through 5 signs: Capricorn, Aries, Gemini, Leo, and then late Libra, Scorpio, right? The last time that Venus retrograded in Leo was in 2015. So if you think about what was going on in your life in 2015, those same themes, it's not the exact same things, but similar themes may come up. And the beauty about Venus in retrograde is that Venus wants you to figure out what the lesson was and how your heart has grown. Now, if we just for a second, I'm not going to go through the whole story, but if you just for a second go to the myth of Inanna, okay, this is a story about Venus, because when Venus normally we can see Venus as an evening star, but when Venus goes retrograde, it's a morning star. Okay. And the myth of Inanna, in a very quick story, is that Inanna goes into the underworld to meet her sister Ereshkigal, who is super jealous of her. And there's a whole thing. She has to go through these 7 gates, and at every gate that she goes to get to the underworld to see her sister and kind of have it out with her, she has to let something go. So by the time she gets to her sister at the underworld, she's naked, has nothing, she's completely vulnerable, and her sister ends up killing her, right? Her death. And in this descent into the underworld, she experiences the reflection of her sister as herself and takes those lessons, learns from them, and then, she ascends back to the world, and she becomes an evening star again, and now she has all this wisdom and knowledge. Like, that's the myth. It's very teeny tiny way of telling it, but that's what happens during Venus retrograde. And so when we look at heartbreaks, we look at ways we've been betrayed, we looked at ways we've been codependent, we look at relationships that we have with people, or ideas or beliefs, or just the way we live our life, and we have to ask ourselves, is this who I want to be? Is this who I am anymore? Am I shifting? Right? And so the fact that Venus is in retrograde in Leo's a fire sign, this could potentially create a little bit of drama. Biggest thing with this Venus retrograde is to pay attention to your heart, but also keep your feet on the ground and stay grounded. And then remember, in any type of mythological or even mysticism, even when we do fire pujas for full moons, we talk about the burning away, right? So we need those tapas in yoga. We need those tapas, that burning desire to alchemize our old feelings of grief or anger or hurt or whatever into love. And I know 100% that everything can be alchemized to love. Every single thing can be alchemized to love. The other person doesn't have to understand that. Only you need to understand it. And I like to think about the heart as this like beating flame of passion and infinite love and compassion for others, and just an extension of why we're here. And so this retrograde can be intense, and it can, really open up spaces of the heart where you've been blocking love, or you've been even not willing to look at like your own stuff, let alone hurts with other individuals. So I would say with this Venus retrograde stage, give yourself some space of and time and energy, and let things kind of resurface for you. Notice when something comes up. I just had something come up today where I was like, whoa, that was interesting. Wow, I'm really hurt right now, but I'm not going to go into drama. I'm just going to sit with it for a second. And so allow you know that these things come up to be cleared. They don't come up to just annoy you. They come up to be cleared. And sometimes they show up as hurt in the heart. Sometimes they show up as injury in the body, but everything wants to bring you back to unconditional love. So this is an opportunity to exemplify that, to not fall into the drama. Like, you can if you need to, but if you're dropping into the drama, use it as like, I am going to drop into this drama, and I'm going to blow my top in private. I'm going to spiral out, and I'm going to just alchemize this shit, like, don't be outwardly spewing it around, if that makes sense, because sometimes that does feel good, like I know people who have punching bags. I know people who dance. I know people, just to move that energy out of the body, but to do it in a safe and loving way. It's also an opportunity to connect on a really deep level. So if you think about the barriers that you've put on your heart, or the ways that you've kind of blocked energy to come to you, maybe just kind of bypass those and get into the depth of your heart, because this Venus retrograde really wants you to go deep into the heart. And, with this full moon, if you haven't listened to the full moon report, I would say listen to it, because it's got some pretty potent information. But, trust your heart. I think the biggest thing is from that, at least from now until September 3rd, every day, maybe make your mantra when you wake up, like, what would love do today? Where can I follow my heart today? what does my heart want me to do today? And I know sometimes that's hard because you have, work things or responsibility, obligation, like I get it. But maybe take a minute every day and just say, what does my heart want in this situation? And it maybe tune out the mind a little bit. So I hope this helps. And if you would like your chart read, I'm happy to do it for you. Please just reach out to me at dana@danadamara.com. Happy to do it. You can also go to my website, danadamara.com, and find the little link for astrology readings and just book it online. Really great. Thank you so much. I hope that you are having a beautiful day, and I hope to see you soon. Namaste.